are, you know, somebody who peruses the movie sphere online, you probably in the last couple of days came across headlines like this. And I'm not here to pick on MovieWeb. They're not the only ones. But look at this. A new report claims that Netflix is planning devastating theatrical window after Warner Brothers deal. Or some things of this. Now, basically, what's running around, and we had a whole bunch of people writing in and asking about it, and I touched on this in the Q&A last week, but I figured it's still running around, so I figured we should probably do a video about this. You guys have probably been seeing this headline and others like it running rampant through the web, talking about how Netflix, once they get Warner Brothers, is planning on making the theatrical window just 17 days. That's Netflix's plan, to make the theatrical window 17 days. And then people say, well, where did that come from? That sounds like nonsense. Well, it came from Deadline. Well, if it came from Deadline, here's the thing. And guys, I need to elicit your help, my fellow film fans. Please ejaculate some truth sperm into any of the dark corners of the web where you start seeing people running with this thing. Oh my gosh, Netflix is saying there's going to be a 17-day window, theatrical window. That's going to kill the movie business, blah, blah. Okay. So let's take a deep breath and look at this from a big picture. The number one story in all of the movie business right now is the impending sale of Warner Brothers, be it to Netflix, which is the way it looks like it's going to go, or maybe even to Paramount, or who knows, maybe even a third party. But that is the absolute number one story in all of the business right now.
Yeah.
You know, the Zaz, Sarandos, making a deal, Netflix is going to be taking it over and all that kind of stuff. And one of the biggest issues of this impending deal of Warner Brothers being sold to Netflix is what happens with theatrical windows. You guys know that when Netflix's name first came up as a possible suitor for Warner Brothers, I said they would be the worst possible case scenario because they don't have a firm commitment to theatrical windows. Mm-hmm. Now, in the time since they successfully made their bid to get Warner Brothers, Ted Sarandos has been on, the PR campaign saying, listen, everything I've said about movie theaters was from a perspective of Netflix, because as a business, theatrical windows and putting movies in theaters does not fit Netflix's business. But, Ted Sarandos says, we are now getting into that business because that is Warner Brothers' business. This is a brand new thing for us, and we are doing it, and we're going to keep traditional theatrical windows, all that kind of stuff. Now, here's the thing. If Deadline was reporting that Netflix plans to make a 17-day theatrical window, that would, beyond any shadow of a doubt, be the number one movie story in the world of movies and the movie business for at least a few days. It would be the above-the-fold, absolute main headline being run on Deadline, Variety, The Wrap, Entertainment Weekly, everything. That would be the story, because everything is about this Netflix takeover of Warner Brothers right now, and everybody in the business is particularly paying attention to what's going to happen with Netflix or with Warner Brothers and their movies and the theatrical winners they're going to have. It would be the story. So where did this thing come from? This spontaneous Mandela effect come from, where everybody is running around, again, like this headline, new report claims Netflix is planning devastating theatrical window after Warner Brothers deal. Where's that all coming from? Because if it's coming from Deadline, surely, and don't call me Shirley, surely it's got to have some big, sexy headline. Deadline exclusively learns of Netflix's plans for a 17-day window.
And why is there no follow-up from like Hollywood Reporter or Variety?
Yeah. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the very first time, trying something new can be tough. But on PrizePicks, it just feels great when your sports takes are right. With big playoff matchups happening every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never really stops, and PrizePicks lets you take control. Ann and I both tried out PrizePicks a while ago, and we were honestly surprised by how simple it was to get started. I put my first lineup together in just minutes, and it genuinely made watching the games with my friends more fun because we were following our player projections all night, cheering for more or less. And there's a couple of features I really love. PrizePicks now has early payouts, so if your player gets off to a hot start, you can have the option to cash out before the game even finishes. And the new social feeds feature lets you share your PrizePicks with friends or even copy winning lineups with one click. Plus, if you like flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, or if you want the biggest potential prizes, go with Power Play. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Campea to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. You want to see the article where this is coming from? Ready for the big sexy headline?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Stranger Things finale delivers 25 million plus to movie theaters after New Year's play. More than 60% of that from AMC. Box office update.
We got
That's
him.
funny.
We
Doesn't say anything about Netflix is planning to do a 17-day theatrical window. No, here's where it is. If you scroll down in the story about Stranger Things and you go down to paragraph 8, line 12, it's this little bit of information buried down near the bottom. Now, let me read this. This is Ted Sarandos speaking. There's been a lot of talk about theatrical distribution, so we want to set the record straight. We, Netflix, are 100% committed to releasing Warner Brothers films in theaters with industry standard windows. Deadline goes on to write, the town continues to worry that traditional means for Netflix. Sources have told Deadline that Netflix have been proponents of a 17-day window, which would steamroll the theatrical business, while circuits such as AMC believe the line needs to be held at 45 days.
I was a proponent of buying a Ferrari. It doesn't mean I'm actually going to go through with it. You know.
And this is the thing. It is past tense. The whole story first sets the context that Netflix is now saying for Warner Brothers films, it's going to be an industry standard theatrical window. Although we have Deadline have heard they have been proponents of 17-day windows, while the movie theater industry wants a 45-day window. That's it. Past tense. If Deadline was actually reporting that they now have confirmed sources saying that Netflix plans to take Warner Brothers movies and make them 17-day windows, guess what? The damn headline would not read this. Stranger Things finale delivers 25. That wouldn't be the headline.
No.
And guys, here's the thing. We have seen this happen so many times. Like we've talked about things like this at least 4 or 5 times on our show. I remember this one time, Variety was doing an article about something completely different. And then down around paragraph 9, they mention an actor. And then they just happen to throw in there for commentary, oh, the actor can next be seen in whatever movie. And the internet lost its mind saying, wait a minute, that actor's going to be in that movie? Holy shit. And everybody lost their minds. And we pointed out, guys, if the story was this actor was actually joining, this was clearly a little error. This was clearly a small, offhand, little side editorial error. It has nothing to do with the story. And if this was really the case, they would be running headlines about it. And we've seen this happen repeatedly. That some outlet writes something about something completely different, and somewhere in paragraph 12, subsection G, something gets said that somebody interprets a certain way, and they think, and where it would be the biggest news in the movie industry, and they run with it. Guys, let me be very, very clear here. As the person who has screamed the loudest about Netflix being the worst possible option because they're going to ruin theatrical windows and all that kind of stuff, as the person who has been that critical, Deadline did not report that Netflix is planning future 10 to 17-day window Warner Brothers films.
Yeah.
That is not what their story was. If it was their stories, that would be its own headline. That would be its own story. It would be leading, again, Entertainment Weekly, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter. It would be all over the place, but it's not. It was setting the context that Netflix is committed to industry standard theatrical windows for Warner Brothers films, and then mentioned past tense that Netflix had been an advocate of 17-day theatrical windows when they were just a Netflix business. So please, guys, when you see anybody spreading this false information, let them know that is a minor quote in a story about something completely different that was being taken way out of context. Deadline is not and have not reported that Netflix is planning 17-day windows for Warner Brothers. Please make sure that when you see this pop up elsewhere, you spread the word about that. That is not what's happening here. Because, Jonathan, we see this happen quite often.
Yeah.
Right? Like whether it's from like a small error in an article that people grab onto.
This was mining. This was fracking a story. This was scraping it from the depths of the mine here. I mean, to say, for one thing, the quote was also taken out of context because they said, well, what does industry standard mean? Well, you know what industry standard means. It's the current industry standard, which I believe is like 45 days.
Yeah, that's
which is
the
still
current
too low.
standard, yeah.
Oh, well, what does that mean, actually? Because in the past, they said 17. That was when they were Netflix and they didn't want to own a studio. So now that's taken out of context.
And now, hey, listen, do I have some fear?
Sure,
Do I have some apprehension?
Yes.
That somewhere down the line, Netflix could pull some kind of crap like that? Of course, I'm a little bit worried about that. I mean, you'd have to be stupid not to realize that there is a danger in that.
Yeah.
But that isn't what's happening right now. And it just frustrates me when I see false information
it was
getting spread all over the place so quickly.
It was opportunistic and it was playing off the fears of the public is what it was.
Yes.
So
anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about that Stranger Things article that revealed Netflix is planning 17-day windows for Warner Brothers? Anyway, guys, please spread the truth around on that. Your thoughts on it, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.